Hello guys, Gene here with G Squared Tactical. We're outside today, so if you start hearing some saws and dogs barking and things, try to overlook it. I'll try to overtalk it. But what we have here today on the channel is a Magnum Research BFR. They say that BFR stands for Big Frame Revolver. I've heard it said that it was the biggest, finest revolver. I tend to agree with it being the biggest and the finest revolver. Certainly, having done some research and things, you know that Trey and I, we're perfectly okay with going out and spending $500, $600, $700 on a gun and formulating our own opinion about it rather than taking the opinion of someone else. And if we don't like it, if our opinion is negative, just getting rid of it and selling it. Now, when you get up into the $1,000, $1,200, $2,000, of course, that's not really an option. Nobody wants to spend that kind of money and get a piece of garbage. Doing my research, I checked out the Taurus, the Smith & Wesson, the Ruger, and then of course the Magnum Research, and I came to the conclusion, along with a lot of others, that the Magnum Research was probably the best offering in that price range. I hope that, given that I'm not a revolver guy, that I can tell you some of the reasons that I chose to go with this offering over some of the other ones. One of the things that I really liked about it was this high front sight that is not pinned. It is fixed, but it's not pinned. A lot of times on revolvers, you have these very low profile front sights that are difficult to pick up, to say the least. And you would like to be able to put a fiber optic, maybe a night sight or something on there. And you're left with the idea of having to take a punch and beat on the front of your gun to knock the sight off in order to put another sight in there and then beating the pin back in. I like this one because it has a simple flathead screw that is recessed here inside of the sight that is easily removed and replaced with several different offerings from Magnum Research. This is chambered in 44 Magnum. It was also shoot 44 special, and this also comes in some shorter versions. This is a 6-shot. I decided to go with a 6-shot because, of course, I'm sure you guys can agree, the more the merrier, right? So this does have the Hogue over grip. Again, I'm not hunting with this gun. I'm not a hunter. But their claim to fame is that they do make a lot. That this gun comes in an insane number of offerings, and a lot of those offerings are for rifle calibers, you know, 30-30, 45-70. We do have a 45-70. Again, try to ignore the saws in the background, but this has the standard Hogue type overlay grips on there, and I decided to go with those because what I'll be doing most with this is taking it to the range and shooting it, and I wanted something to help handle the recoil a little bit better, especially on the 45-70. They also make this with a more Beasley style grip that has some ivory grip inserts on here that is very, very nice, very aesthetically pleasing. In the barrel here, the very end has a recessed target crown. Just, in my opinion, just again, built like a bank vault, overbuilt in a lot of ways for a 44 Magnum round, because I've shot this through barrels that were paper thin that held up just fine. So that just seems a little overkill for me, but good for you. You know, you get an $1,100 gun, $1,100 revolver that's built like a bank vault. Why not? It's got a 1 16th rate of twist inside the barrel, a 0.43 groove diameter, and an overall length of about 15 inches. So again, with the rifling and the groove diameter and stuff, those come in slightly better than some of the other offerings, certainly the Taurus, also the Ruger and the Smith & Wesson. And another thing that I liked about this is that it came with a Weaver style rail here, and this rear sight, again, I know I mentioned the punching out the front sight here, but I've knocked this pin out of this rear sight on 3 different occasions as I have went back and forth, having a scope mounted and then putting the regular sight back on here, and it comes out like butter. Even the first time, it came right out like butter. Take this center adjustment screw for elevation out, this rear sight comes right off with ease, and you just simply mount your Weaver style rail up here, and you put your red dot or scope of choice on there. Very easily done. It does come with a set of LPA adjustable rear sights, and it does have a little tool in here, an adjustment tool to adjust this rear sight. It is serrated, again blacked out as is the front, very low glare. I probably, if I use this on a regular basis, if it was for defense, if I did hunt with it, I probably would change the sights, and they do have offerings for that. But for what I'm using it for, it picks up very well, and I'm perfectly fine and perfectly okay with the sight setup. Okay, so getting back to it being built like a bank vault, literally everything but the grips on this thing is a brushed stainless steel. I mean, it is all stainless steel. A lot of times on some of these guns you see the ejector here, and the ejector, the end piece here, or where you would press your finger to manipulate the ejector, is plastic, like a black plastic or something. Even that is stainless steel. Literally everything on this gun is stainless steel, and like I said, built like an absolute tank, a bank vault, if you will. It is 6 inches high. With this rail on here, like I said, it's about 3/8 of an inch higher, so it's a little over 6 inches with the rail on there. The cylinder lockup is absolutely insane. There's another video on YouTube where a guy was having some problems with the cylinder rotating when he had some nickel-plated ammunition in there, and the gun was a little bit dirty. His assessment, I won't say who he was, but he's a very popular YouTuber, but his assessment of that was that the tolerances on this gun are so tight that after having shot 25-30 rounds through it, the soot, things of that nature that had built up in it, and that nickel-plated ammunition was not allowing the cylinder to spin as freely as it did when he first started shooting with it. His assessment on that was that because of those tight tolerances, that this was way more accurate for others that were competing in the same category, like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, and Taurus. And his assessment was that it was way more accurate. Now, the lockup on this cylinder, as I mentioned, is just absolutely insane. Like, there is almost no movement whatsoever, none. I have revolvers. I had a Taurus revolver. I've had other revolvers. I could probably bring some out here right now and move this cylinder around after it locks up, and it feels like you could almost spin that thing if you pushed on it hard enough. That's how much wiggle room you have in that cylinder. You have almost zero wiggle room. You have almost no, let me rephrase that. You have zero movement in this trigger once you pull this hammer back. None. Like, there is zero take up. And you know, that's what you want when you're hunting. You don't want a hard trigger. You don't want a trigger that has take up, that's going to mess with your head, or is a heavy pull that's going to cause you to maybe tilt the gun forward or side to side, whichever. You want a light trigger without very much to any take up, and this has none, zero. Did I mention that it had zero take up in the trigger? Anyway, and the pull on that trigger is about 2.9 pounds, which I know that Magnum Research says that it is about 3, a little over 3, but I was consistently getting around 2.9 pounds on the trigger pull. So moving on down, taking down the window here and looking at the thickness of this cylinder between each one of these rounds, and again, just like a bank vault, just like overkill for a 44 Magnum. Just absolutely outstanding. The weight on this gun with this rail on here was about 4 pounds, and I mean, like I said, I mean, even the 3-ring cylinder base pin here is stainless steel and is made for this thing not to move at all under heavy recoil. Of course, it has the transfer bar safety here in the back, as is standard with most revolvers. It came with a nice little sock to put over it when you transfer it. Maybe even you might want to put it in there if you're just simply putting it in the safe. I will say, as we normally do with most revolvers that we review, is that you do not want to put your fingers, thumbs, anything else in front of this cylinder, as you may lose those fingers. And when we were shooting this at the range, we were resting it on a sandbag, and the energy from the front of this cylinder literally blew the sandbag apart. And so that should give you a pretty good indication that you do not want to put your fingers in front of this barrel, or cylinder, should I say. And definitely not in front of the barrel. But again, completely 100% brushed stainless steel, just flawless finish. I mean, it takes time, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the amount of time it takes to make such a quality piece, and just make from one end to the other just a completely flawless finish. It's like someone just took this thing under a microscope or under a magnifying glass and just critiqued every square inch of it, that it was just completely flawless from one end to the other. And just a beautiful gun to break out and show to your friends. Very well balanced in your hand when you're holding it. It just feels great. You know, you just feel like you're completely in control. And again, for a 44 Magnum, this is a heavy revolver, but a 44 Magnum, you put the 44 Special in there, even better, even more fun to shoot. And so I don't really know what else to say about this gun, other than it's a freaking beast, and it's freaking awesome to shoot. And the calibers that they offer this thing in, like, whatever you want, they got one for you. It did just come in a regular old standard cardboard box with some kind of foam in here. Nothing really special. Most people will probably just chunk that out, throw it away. Again, we're not really super big revolver guys, and I think in a lot of ways maybe people who are sometimes biased towards certain brands, or maybe they want to put on a pedestal a certain brand. But we're not those guys. We're just talking about what we think about the revolver and what little knowledge we have of revolvers. And I have shot Rugers, I have shot Tauruses, I have shot Smith & Wesson revolvers. In fact, I've owned all of them. And I would say that this is definitely by far the smoothest shooting, the best trigger, the best lockup, the most accurate. I mean, just everything about this gun is completely flawless. I absolutely love this gun. And we hope that you enjoyed some of the range that we put up with it, some of the conversation. I'm sure, no doubt, that we left something out, something we did not talk about. And we love interacting with you guys. So make sure you ask your questions. Everyone gets a response. We will talk to you and interact with you. And we hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and we hope you come back for more. Make sure you set your alerts. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the like button. And again, we really appreciate you guys watching today. Thank you.